All right, everyone. So we're recording. This is me. If you haven't met me, I'm Jess Tomlinson, and this is the beautiful Sandi Herrera, who is one of my original Bali retreat participants. Feels too dry,
Yeah. Sister.
like I know sisters. I never know like how to when I say participants, it falls flat and it doesn't make sense. And so Sandy is so sweet and has agreed to really share her experience. Those 4 years ago, or however long it's been. I think 4 years.
2015. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years. So 2015 was the first Bali retreat I did, and then 2016 I did a second one. And then for those of you who don't know, I'm hosting another Bali retreat in 2019, which is this year. And Sandy and I were just talking about how much, Bali has really impacted her life, even now looking so many years forward to current day, and also taking a look back, of course. And um, just really feeling into being of service and sharing her journey, her epic, amazing journey of everything that has
Like
really
crazy roller
unfolded.
coaster journey.
Yeah, yeah. So why don't you go ahead, Sandy, and just anything you want to share about yourself, or just even diving into, the experience, what led you to be drawn to go on the retreat. Start wherever you like.
I think I'm just going to dive in, make sure my phone's on vibrate, as it's
Yeah.
crazy all day. So um, I have like so many like excited sensations to be able to share this story. You have no idea. Like I love this, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share with you what you mean to me, but also what the experience has meant for me. And hindsight is just a beautiful way to reflect and just share my gratitude, knowing that that's my number one core value. That's really the purpose of me sharing, is to really just share that gratitude and hopefully pay it forward for some women who are out there that maybe have similar life situations, or are on the fence, or trying to figure out what's next for them, and where they want to take their life journey, because I really didn't know at the time. So if I think back to where I was in 2015, let me go back even a year prior to that. So it was end of May 2014. I was on a trip with a bunch of friends and my husband at the time, and we had been struggling in our marriage. We had been divorced and remarried in 2008. And it was within a year of remarriage that I knew that I was in a place of enduring the marriage, trying to make it work for the sake of our son, and not put him through a second divorce between the two of us, and all of those things. But got to a place where we're driving on that trip to go up to Lake Powell with our friends, and thankfully we were caravanning. And I said, hey, what's going to make us happy in our life together? And his comment was something along the lines of, I don't want to talk about that. We're on vacation. And it was such a like shut down, walls up, armor up. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say to that, other than to shut down and be like, okay, volume up on the music, and I'm going to be in my own little space. And to just getting to a place where we're finally, one night around the campfire, I had some liquid courage going. And sorry, my dog's scratching like crazy. And everyone else had gone off to bed, and I looked at him and I said, I don't want to be married anymore. I'm done. And he obviously, got angry and upset, and it was a really rough, uncomfortable drive home the next day. But it was the right choice for me, and I knew that. And I also knew that I was in a place where, throughout the continuation of our conversations going forward, I was in a place where I said, you get to be happy. You're not a bad person. I'm not a bad person, but I get to be happy, and so do you. And neither one of us are. And so we're going to be okay. And so I really just took it from a position of strength and refused to join him in any more arguing or fighting, or like, I just got to a place where I was just done. Which allowed me to stay in the house with him for a year. and living as roommates. He moved into the guest room, at one point, and stayed there. And we went back to the parenting plan that we had had before. And so then it was the following January when I joined Lex's. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on what the map.
Step into your moxie. Yeah.
No, it was
Wasn't it?
even after. This was the 9-month journey.
Oh, the collective.
Influencer.
The spotlight.
Influencer.
Oh, influencer. Oh my gosh. For those of you who don't know.
All the wonderful programs that Lex has and
we're
inspired us.
Alexia Vernon, for those of you who don't know. She's one of our close friends.
So I joined Influencer and 9-month program, and super excited to be joining her, because how you and I had met was through Step Into Your Moxie program and learning how to be a good public speaker. And that was back in 2000. She and I were just talking about this the other day. I want to say it was 2010, 11.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Think about.
And I had met her when I was with Delivering Happiness, and we put on events, and she was there speaking. And anyways, we connected, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to, get over my fears of public speaking. And I, for some reason, I'm drawn to you, and I don't want to do Toastmasters, and you're amazing. So teach me all your wise ways. And she just, and so that's how you and I met, was in that program. And so fast forward, I joined her influencer program, and was there with amazing women in leadership here in Vegas. And one of the first things she asked us to do was write down where we expected ourselves to be in 9 months. And I'm literally at home and I'm writing it, and wrote, I'm going to book a trip to Bali by the end of 2015. So now this is January 2015. And my fears were, I'm just going to book it. I can't actually go, but I'm going to book it. And then, maybe I'll go the next year, because Bali had been on my radar for probably since like 2005, 2006, when I first met Roger Hamilton, who's the founder of Entrepreneurs Institute. And I'll tell you about that connection in a bit. But so that's why Bali was on my radar. And I was like, I'm going to go. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's on my radar. Literally that night, I'm going through emails and I see your email pop up and go, hey, I'm planning a women's retreat to Bali. And I was like, were you like, like, I know we're in sync and we hit it off, but I didn't realize you were watching me. And I replied, and I'm like, I'm in. I had no idea how much it was. I had no idea when we were going. I had no idea anything. Mind you, I'm still like under my ex-husband's, domain, so to speak. Not quite sure where I'm going to get the money to do this. Not quite sure. Like, I had no idea of anything, but I was like, okay, that's a sign. Like, I have to go. Yeah. And so then we had our call and figured out how I was going to pay for it. And I literally took the leap of faith to put it on credit, when I hadn't been using credit for anything for a while, because I'd gone through and filed bankruptcy in 2009. And so I was like living on cash and like super cautious about using credit for anything. Like I was almost shaming myself for having gone through bankruptcy for a long time. And then I was like, you know what, I'm worth it. I'm worth this investment. And it's time for me to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. Like I'm feeling so lost. I'm stuck in this place where I'm, separated from my ex, but we're living in the same house, but I'm, having to co-parent my son under the same roof, but it's weird. And I don't know what's going on with my business. And I'm trying to launch that. And it was like this just limbo space. I had left my salary job working with Delivering Happiness. We were teaching other companies how to use happiness as a business model, like Zappos was based on the book that Tony wrote. And I left them in January of 2013 to start my own company and focus on transforming the workplace culture in our schools. And so I was just, a couple years into that, trying to figure out how to build a plane on the way down, not quite sure how that was going to work. But making some traction, but really not in a way where I could cover much of my own expenses. So I was living in scarcity, and also knew that I needed to go on this trip. There was just something that was like, I'm in, I don't know, it's just going to figure itself out. And then, so the trip comes, and I didn't ask my ex-husband, for permission to go, which was the first time I ever didn't. I just told him this is what's happening. And it was going to be 2 weeks away from my son, which I had never done before. And so there were all these fears coming up and all these things like, you're spending money you don't have, you're taking time away from your son that you shouldn't be taking a time away from, and what's your ex-husband going to think, and what's he going to do, and how's he going to use this, like all this crap, that were real and visceral fears for me. And yet I knew that I needed to go. And so I followed that intuition, and I had your gentle spirit and your soul, like, just holding me through all those fears and listening to them without judgment and without anything other than holding space for me. And I hadn't had a lot of other people in my life do that for me. And so it was such a gift and such a safe place for me to go, okay, I don't know how it's going to work out. Like, I can't see it, but I'm going to trust you, because I feel that sense of non-judgment, and it allowed us to build and grow our trust to another level. And then getting to the airport, and meeting you in LA when we got there, and being like, okay, we're doing this. I'm missing my little man like crazy already, but we're going to do this, and we're going to go. And got there and showed up and walked into the villa and was like, oh my God. Like, it was immediate, like, shoulders drop, like, just the essence energy in Bali is so transformative. Like, as a country, as an island, it's hard. Like, I can try to describe it, but unless you're there, the tempo of the vibe of everything, and it's like, the best way that I can describe it is, you know, how here in the US, when you honk the horn at someone when you're driving, it's because you're irritated with them. And when it happens in Bali and they honk at each other, it's like, hey, I'm here. Like,
yeah.
Like a kind little hey. And that's really the difference of the vibe of being there. And so immediately it was like, okay, I'm good. And I promised myself that the entire time I was there that I was going to journal every day. And I had no idea what to expect. I don't remember if you gave us an agenda. I knew if you had, I didn't look at anything. Like, I literally was flying by the seat.
No, I didn't give an agenda. That's one of my things, because, you know, I remember having the talk with you guys, and like, somebody, maybe it was even you, like, wanted an agenda or wanted to know like what was coming. And I was like, hey, what if you just trust me and you get the opportunity to just be in the moment, because I don't want you to have to think about what's coming, or like try to feel like you have to plan, or you have to like be in control. Like, I don't remember if it was you or not, but I think it's interesting.
because that I need to control something in my life, feeling like everything was out of my control. I needed to control something. And so the only thing that I could control was promising myself that I would journal every day, and no matter what it was, I was just going to let it all out. And I remember our first night, and we had the most amazing, I'm going to call her a chef. She was almost like our sous chef. But
Made, wasn't that her name?
Made, and Yan was our actual chef. They were just such lovely humans to hold the container of nourishment for us the entire trip. It was so beautiful. And even with all of that, like, showing up and having the wonderful drinks and the little snacks and our first dinner that night, it was just so amazing. And then I remember us sitting around the pool, and living in Las Vegas, I'm not a fan of bugs. Like, we don't have a lot of them. I mean, we have, for the most part, we don't have them flying around. And yet I was starting to have this, like, after dinner, I was starting to have this visceral reaction to the ants. Do you remember me talking about the ants?
Oh, I remember now, because you drew the ant card.
I did. And I was like, the ants are like, I can't, like, they need to go away from me. And I was totally having this visceral reaction. Like, I needed to get rid of the ants. And again, we're in Bali, like you're in a tropical island. Of course there's bugs, and like, this is their place. You're invading their space.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, Sandy, you're so like ridiculously over the top with that. But as I journaled about it, and as I drew the card the next day, I was like, okay, again, people watching me. And I was in such a unknown spiritual journey that I was on at this time, that I remember even asking one of the other women who was there, who is really connected to God and her religious faith and everything in such a beautiful way. And I remember asking, and I don't remember who all was around, but I remember asking, like, what's the difference between God and my intuition? I'm struggling with that. Like, that was my level of spirituality at that time. and like still trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted and how to listen to my intuition. But what if it's God, and what if it's this, and what's a gut feeling, and is it past pregnant? Like I was all confused about all of it. And so then to have the ants and then the ant card, and then I'm like, okay, surrender. It's time to like just let it go, just keep journaling it out, and allowing this process to unfold. And
the ant card was like support or building your team or something like that, wasn't it?
It had to do with community, I think. It had
community, yes.
Yeah. With really trusting your community, and that's what you're supposed to be here for. And I grew up as the middle child in a family with my mom and my two sisters. I was supposed to be the boy. I, have always been the one that would handle shit. And so, which meant I was always in control. So very, very much living in my masculine energy as my way of armoring up, as my way of not allowing my feminine to come out, because the judgment in my head was that feminine equals weak or sad or incapable, or like all of the narratives that didn't serve the narrative of me being able to take care of myself. And so it created this strong armored up version of a woman who would say, peace out, I'm not handling, I can handle this on my own. But it didn't allow me to get close to many women for a long time. Like I have girlfriends that I've had since high school, but not on a super close basis. I really hadn't had that sisterhood where I could lean in and be vulnerable and scared and full of emotion and know that those were all okay and that was normal. And so you created this beautiful container where I could show up with all of those sides, and there was no judgment. And in the short 9 days that we were together, but it really happened in the first 3, where I really just let go. And I shared so many vulnerable stories and experiences and life choices that frankly I hadn't shared with anyone. And you guys just held space for me and were like, we got you. All right. So what do you want to do with that? So what does that look like going forward? Does that serve you? Does it not serve you? Like really allowing me the space to choose my journey forward.
Yes.
From a place of love and grace. And I had never had that in a group of women before. And it all came from that TLC that you put into every different component of the retreat, because it wasn't about functional, systematic, you're going to go through these things and you're going to receive these results. It was more about, I am here to take care of your sacred feminine so that you can embody what's meant for you. And the way that you wove every different piece of the retreat in was so brilliant and so beautiful that if I had had an agenda, I would have tried to control it. You're absolutely right. And if I had had an idea beyond, hey, you're going to have a massage, hey, you're going to have a photo shoot, hey, you're going to have, these fun things,
Yeah.
If I had had any idea beyond that, I would have been more armored up than I was. It really allowed me the permission to go, okay, if I'm going to lean in, I get to lean in all, and open up. And just through the different exercises that we did and the different rituals that we created, that started our day with intention and ended our day with intention. And we had fun and laughter and bliss and learning and sacred, like it was just all woven in such a beautiful way through every different experience that we had, that by the end of it, well, before the end, by our photo shoot, I was in shock with myself that I actually did topless photos. Then looking back at the photos, I was like, I don't even like the ones where I have my bathing suit top on. And granted, I was covering with my hands, but those were the ones where I was like, oh, I love those pictures because it was such an expression of me being all me, strong and feminine, and to combine those two things and see a visual representation of it in the pictures, and to have felt what it felt like to, be in the waves and experience that it was just truly a gift that I could have both, and that all sides of me are valuable and beautiful and brilliant, and however I choose to weave them is awesome, and it's totally up to me. So I literally walked away from the retreat, and I had to go to bed a little bit earlier than everyone else did on the last night of the retreat,
Right.
because I had tacked on a professional business retreat at the end of it, which was connected to Entrepreneurs Institute, the original reason why I had Bali on my bucket list. And, I had not been in touch with Roger Hamilton for several years, but had reached out and said, hey, I'm coming to Bali. Would love to grab coffee, catch up, see what's going on. And he connected me with the person running his Vision Villas resort. And just so happened they had a 5-day training happening that would allow me to bring in an assessment tool to my work that I had found out what my personal profile is, 5 years prior or 10 years prior, that had really helped me give myself permission to be who I am in business. And I was like, oh, I would love to bring this into the work that I'm doing with schools. So it's a perfect bookend to this training. But I was missing the welcoming dinner to have the closing dinner with you guys, which meant I had to be up super early to start the training at 8 a.m. the following day. And we were up till it was 1 a.m.
So late. Yeah. I think we all went to bed at 2. You went at 1 or something.
At 1, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be up at 5 and I've got to pack and I was like, oh my gosh, and I've got some driver coming to pick me up and I don't know, hopefully he's going to take me to the right place. I don't know where I don't know, but I was in such an open place. I'm like, it's all going to fall into place. I'm all good. But then he didn't show up and he didn't show up. And so slowly I'm getting pulled out of my, I was just on this amazing retreat, and slowly I'm getting pulled back into logistics reality where I can feel my out of balance coming back in to try to control and get to, where I need to get to for this training. And it threw me to where I got there. I finally got settled into a room that I had to almost argue about which room I was getting into. And it felt like this whole trauma experience, to where the next 2 days, when those flu-like symptoms come on, where it's full body ache and that this is going to be a massive sickness that comes on if you let it take over. And thankfully I had essential oils of lemon and other stuff with me, to where I was drinking. I probably used a full bottle of lemon essential oil in my water for 2 days and slept a lot, really didn't engage with a bunch of people. I just kind of stayed in my own little cocoon during the first couple of days of the training. Felt antisocial, felt kind of rude, but I needed to
you needed that. Yeah. The transition.
And transition. And then the next 3 days of the training were so brilliant and beautiful that I came back with such a more robust foundation to the work that I do, and being able to give the teams in our schools the ability to find their natural state of flow and what their path of least resistance is to creating the culture they desire. And to come back, and I remember telling you this before, was when I came back and I went to go get dressed for my first meeting, and I still love black slacks, but I was like, ew, all of my clothes are black and gray, and that's terrible. What is wrong with me? And so I ended up going shopping and went to Ross and take a Ross or Nordstrom Rack, wherever I went. And normally I go into those places and I'm just irritated because it takes forever to look through things. And I spent $400 and ended up with 8 dresses and 3 pairs of shoes and all of these amazing color and feminine. And my mom's like, I knew that was going to happen to you. And I was like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, really that full expression, right? Giving yourself permission to reflect what's on the inside.
It just is totally different than, our 5th grade version of me, where I fought my mom and didn't get to go to the birthday party because I wouldn't wear a dress. I wanted to wear my pants. And to now being in a place where it's no, I get to wear however I want to feel, and it's all good no matter what it is. And Um, so fast forward to me coming back from that trip in the middle of May, and then it was July. So my birthday's coming up. My birthday is July 16th, and so is my son's. So we share a birthday. And he had gone away on a camping trip with his dad, and then flew back to be with me the day before our birthday, so on July 15th. So it was, I think it was like May 15th that I got back from Bali, which was a week after you guys got back. And we had a couple of our re-immersion calls, which was so helpful, because I felt, for the first probably 30 days of coming back, like
that's a lot.
Almost out of body experience. Like, how do I reincorporate myself into this world when I feel so different? And so those calls were so amazing to have.
That's good. I was going to ask you about that, because that's one thing that I get really frustrated when other retreat organizers don't offer that, because then you're just kind of like leaving people unsupported. Yeah. And so that's good to know that those are really
so much value in reintegration, which sounds weird. But it really is. It's like getting back into this space of folding in all of the things that you, I guess, tools that you acquired, as for lack of a better word, but new things on a cellular level to get to a place where you can flow forward with, quote unquote, your normal life, or whatever life it is you're creating going forward. And so then to have it be our birthday, and Hunter flies back on the day before our birthday, and we're so excited because we always spend our birthday together, and we always do something fun, and we had all these fun things planned. And we wake up the next morning, and he has a fever. He's got the flu, like crazy, feels awful, like not like body aches and chills and fever, like awful. So I'm nurturing my baby. I end up with a raging bladder infection, which I normally never get. And I'm normally pretty healthy. Ended up not going to get antibiotics. I figured, I can just get cranberry juice and do all the natural things, which is kind of where I lean anyways. And then to the point where his dad came back on a Sunday. So it was like 3 or 4 days later. Hunter was feeling better. So we spent that whole entire day in bed. Like, we had a birthday at home in bed. It was painful. And the whole time I'm trying to think through, okay, I know that there's something manifesting physically from what's going on mentally. Like, what's going on? Because my life is fine. Like it's fine. We're just going to ride out the rest of his high school career. He's a freshman, getting ready to be a freshman, and we're going to be fine. And whatever, we can just live together. It's easy, it's simple, and no big deal. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's manifesting? Why am I going through this? End up getting so sick to where when his dad came back, like, I was so dehydrated, I was hallucinating. I was like really bad. So the next morning we're at the doctor's office. They give me an antibiotic. I have an allergic reaction to the antibiotic. So now it's like everything is 100 times worse than it was before. So I'm feeling like all of this sickness happen. And I'm still in my mind going, okay, Sandy, you know that there's something manifesting. What is it? What is it? But I couldn't cry. I couldn't, like, I felt like I was still like in a stoic place about it, but really irritated that I was sick. And then all of a sudden I ended up reading, and it was a post by Elizabeth Gilbert on tribal shame. And I literally lost it. Like, I was like, oh, that's what's happening, is I'm feeling the shame from him of divorcing him again. I'm feeling the shame of leaving. Like, how do I, like, I can't stay anymore. I can't be sick. I can't, like, how do I do this? And again, like, coming out of that, and having a couple of girlfriends that I was able to lean on, and including you, and being able to be like, okay, how do I do this? How do I, like, I don't have the money to leave. I don't want to leave him with the full mortgage payment, because we've been splitting it in half. I want to keep the co-parenting going, smoothly, or as smooth as possible. And it was like, what are you going to do? And the only option that I had was to call my dad. And I'm like 40 years old, and calling my dad for money was so humbling, like never before in my life, unless it was for a loan to buy a car or whatever. And so to be like, Dad, I need your help. And for him to, for the first time in my life, be like, I got you, whatever you need. There's going to be limits on it. Like, we're not going to pay half the mortgage on a house you're not living in forever. So we're gonna do this 3 months, and I got you. We're gonna, find a place, and we'll make it happen. Within 2 weeks, found a place, and less than 30 days, I was moved into my own place. And it was the most liberating thing ever. Like, I remember calling my sister in Florida and coming into the house before I signed the final papers on it. And she's like, I want you to just sit in the house and meditate and feel the energy, and you'll know if it's the right place or not. And I just felt that it was the perfect place for me to be. It was tiny. I went from a 3,000 square foot, brand new, beautiful home with him to an 1,100 square foot, rental property that, house that was a little older, and, but it was going to be mine, and it meant freedom, and it meant taking care of me and my kid and creating the life that I know I deserve. And it hasn't been easy. I mean, I spent, the first couple years, a couple times in fetal position, figuring out, God, if I'm meant to continue doing this work, making a difference in our schools, then you got to help me pay rent. Like, you got to give me some, basic essentials here. And literally within 24 to 48 hours of that, having a school call and say, hey, we heard you're doing this work. Can you come and work with us too? And I was like, okay, apparently I'm supposed to keep doing this work. And through the evolution, I'm going on 7 years of working in our schools and making them great places to work, and having stats like moving a school in 3 years from a 60% graduation rate to a 90% graduation rate when they were losing 40 teachers a year to only losing 8.
Wow.
Having, student behavior go from like one of the worst in town to, on the last day of school this past school year, the school police were like, you guys are good, we got to go help these other schools. Like, they had 0 incidents on the last day of school when they normally have like pepper spray and cops and like all kinds of crazy things going on, and they had 0 at the end of this past year. And it was a lot of me helping their leadership team get into flow so that they could do what they love to do, which is teach babies and keep them safe and help them grow into thriving human beings. And so to be able to do that, and now in this past year be launching Genius Camps to help inspire the inner genius in our kiddos and give educators a new pathway for income, and to make the difference that they always dreamed of making, that will lead into micro schools and will lead into apprentice programs with entrepreneurs, and all this cool stuff that I'm doing globally now with Entrepreneurs Institute, and reinventing the world of education, while trying to help the old system and help inspire educators to really own their brilliance and their voice and who they naturally are, and make the difference that they always dreamed of making. All the while, going through everything I've been through personally in the last 4 years. And truly, none of this domino effect would have happened had I not taken that trip. And I, at the time, I had no idea. Like, I literally was going, I'm meant to go, and it's scary as all get out, and I shouldn't be spending the money. I was shaming myself all over the place with the word should. And yet here I am today, like in a place where my kiddo's graduating a year from now. He's so much more emotionally intelligent than I ever dreamed I could help him grow into be. And, he's navigating through all the waters of, he'll be 18 in another 5 days. Oh my gosh. Like, oh, great. But he's growing into be a great man, and I'm living my purpose, doing the work I'm meant to do in this world. And I have amazing soul sisters in this life that are here in this journey, and that, like, without them, like without you and the other soul sisters I have in my life that I can be all me with, I wouldn't be where I am. And the trip with you was the start of that. So
thank you. Thank you, Sandi, for just reflecting that. That just feels so good to my soul to hear that, what can come out of just these immersive experiences. It's such an unknown, like, we don't know. But what I also love is that you had an intention, like you knew you wanted something to change.
Yeah.
And that was powerful, and like your desire to go and to trust and to move through all of the fears, the money and the shaming and the heartbreak, and just all the parenthood piece and your business piece, and just like you had everything, and yet like you had all these reasons why you shouldn't have gone,
Mm-hmm.
and yet you still like trusted that, like it sounds to me like a deeper knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that intuitive pull, like you have to go.
Yeah, like you almost didn't have a choice. I mean, you did. We always have a choice.
Right.
You chose to choose what was the choice that you knew would like further you, even if maybe in the short term there would be a little bit of financial strain, or in the short term there would be those uncomfortable feelings of like you were saying, shifting kind of like it really is like a cellular shift of our being when we make these kind of decisions.
Yeah.
We're reorganizing and realigning and literally, I believe, becoming new women, like from the inside out.
For sure. And it was, again, just looking back at who I was before, and then, who I am today, and how much more conscious I am today. And even going through, in the past 6 months, I feel like I'm going through another shift and another transformation.
Yeah.
But it's at such a conscious level right now. And I feel like I have so many tools within me to be able to work through my triggers and the different life things that come up, that I'm able to process through on a conscious level and go, okay, I'm truly, like, I know that I'm going through another shift, and okay, so it's another shift, so I need to feel free to let go of the things that no longer serve me. And I was thinking this morning, and it's one of the things I do every morning is think through what I'm grateful for, and who do I love, and why am I so happy, and what's my intention for the day. And one of the things that came up for me was one of the quotes that we would say is with oh my gosh, with love I see all that no longer serves me set free. And
I
there
can't believe you still remember that.
remember
So awesome.
and it's that comes to me so often. And it again, things like that are such a gift, that feel so simple in the moment, but have served me as fuel to know that I'm not alone, and that I'm okay, and that I'm safe as I go through, no matter what challenges come my way. And even leaving a 2.5 year relationship, over the last 9 months, was a back and forth and up and down, and should I, shouldn't I, what's going on. But throughout all of that, and having the gifts that I have, and the strategies and tools that I have to work through that, and honor and feel what I feel, and yet at the same time know that I'm going to be okay. Like it's powerful. And without a sisterhood of women who dive in and do the work together, it's a huge missing component. Not that it can't be done, but it's a safe, beautiful container to find the sacred sisterhood that you create.
Yeah, so many women. Like I just created my circle again here in Santa Cruz, and they were just reflecting to me. I was shocked. Like this is like a spiritual center where lots of women leaders, and at our circle, they were like, "Oh my God, I've never been part of something like this." And I was just completely shocked. And it's just a simple type of, space that I know is what creates that safety and that non-judgment, and the allowing, the unraveling, and to truly be seen and heard. And it's really so simple, yet I think that it's not simple in the sense that we're programmed that if we get together, we need to have a goal, or we need, like you were saying, I really love that you said that. Like, thank you for shining the light on, there's so many different experiences that we can go into and say, like, if I do this, I'm going to get XYZ. And yet what I know is true and what I know you know is true, having been through, this immersive experience, is that at the end of the day, the most important thing that you can tune into to learn and grow is coming home to who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like a landing pad. I wanted to ask you about, because I know you have done a lot of work, and there's like weekend workshops that we can go to. And I know a lot of people struggle with that whole sense of like, I can get a lot of tools by reading a book or going to a weekend workshop. What do you think is really that difference between like an immersive experience, such as, going to Bali, versus something that would be, I don't know, shorter, I guess?
Right. Huge difference. Huge difference. Because I can read all the books in the world, and I have, from
Me too.
from the time I was 30, I was given Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, which was life-changing book for me, just to even have that knowledge and that wisdom, because, before that, I was raised Catholic and thought everything was God's plan, and I was, the victim of circumstance, versus reading that book and going, I'm not plugged into some computer somewhere. Like, this is all mine. Like, I get to I get to control what's going on here. And those books were fabulous to spark and to keep on the cerebral level. But the difference is that when you go through an immersion experience, it is fully immersion on a cellular level to transform your life, versus just a workshop to give you tools, which is important for your brain, but just having the knowledge doesn't create the transformation. And if you are truly looking for that shift to be, I guess, to give yourself permission to shift, the best way I can say it. If you truly want to give yourself that full permission to raise your level of consciousness to where you're living your life on purpose, and like I always talk about, living in alignment with your values. Everything I do in my program called Got Core Values is about values alignment. And when you figure out and articulate what your true core values are, and you start living your life on purpose in alignment with those values, your life begins to flow and gets amazing. And you can't get to that space if you just stay up here the whole time. Like, you have to drop into what you feel in your body's physical responses to what's going on in your life, to know whether it's a core value or not. Because that's when you know it's a core value, is when it pisses you off when it's violated. And if you're not in tune with that, then you can just stay stuck up here and stay in this space of blaming and shaming and guilt, and I'm a bad person and I'm not good enough and all of those things, versus feeling like, oh, it's not those things. It's just a values violation, and I need to shift my choices and my behaviors in order to get out of that game and get into what is in alignment with me and my values, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's where you're living, whether it's whatever choices you're making in your life. When you find that values alignment, that's really where, again, you find that natural rhythm and flow in your life, where you're not in resistance against the forces of the world, right? You can flow with them.
Right. Yeah, I really see it as the embodiment piece. And one of the reasons why, like, I believe that, you had the transformation that you did in Bali, and the other women have had the transformation. I've had my own transformation in different retreats that I've gone to, is because something happens, like, to our bodies physically when we are far away from our everyday, like, we're kind of like unconscious, like just grinding, operating, and yet when we're away in this beautiful atmosphere, and our bodies can, like, first of all, they take forever to like unplug from this thing and the typey thing, and like just everything, and just like it takes a while. So like the 9-day experience that I created, it's like some people are like, that's really long. And I'm like, trust me, once you get there, it's not going to be too long and you're going to want to stay for like a month.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I could have, if it hadn't been for my son, I would have totally stayed another 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And you even stayed longer
and I
because
even
you
stayed a
went
week
to
longer.
visit
So
villas. Yeah.
it absolutely, because it took me, and it's different for everyone, but it took me a good 3 full days
Yes.
to relax, to actually
Right.
unplug and feel the rhythm,
Yeah.
my natural rhythm
Mhm.
versus my overstimulated rhythm of the life that I created that wasn't serving me.
Mm.
And we all know what that is when we feel overstimulated by whether it's technology or people in our lives or whatever it is that really don't feel right to us. And how do we get out of that? Is we have to change our physical environment for a
Yeah.
period of time in order to experience the true gift of the shift and the intention behind investing in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandy, for sharing. I'm so inspired by like the word that kept coming to me as you were sharing is resilience.
Thank
Like
you.
you just have like it's joyful resilience. Like
Yeah.
one of the things I love about you is you bring so much love and joy and presence to each interaction that I have with you. You brought that to the group in our Bali sisterhood. And yeah, I love and adore you and that about you and just your whole journey. And you're like a phoenix, just like continuing to reinvent and rising from the flames and just not afraid to actually go through what you know is needed sometimes to go through to get to the other side to be even more brilliant and beautiful that you all already are.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I truly feel like I've gotten to a place where I almost welcome
Mm,
challenges because I know there's a new level of joy, a new level
yeah,
of consciousness, and there's always another level, no matter what work I do in this world. There's always going to be something else because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to evolve and grow and to learn and to experience everything there is to experience in this life. And
yeah,
my pathway is through growth and evolution in order to get there. And so every time there's a challenge, it's a new opportunity for me to learn and grow. And so I welcome it.
yeah. Beautiful. Well, to wrap up, is there like one favorite memory that you'd like to share? Like I know we talked about the ants and
I
we
don't know if
talked
that was a favorite
about
memory. That was
I know. And we talked about, dinner, of course, the delicious food, but is there like one specific memory that's just kind of planted in your mind that maybe you recall anytime you want to
so.
go back to that? Yeah, there's so many.
But let me share like and it was like a culmination of the day, but it went from our photo shoot at the villas, but then we ended up on the beach, and that's really where the like savory, like I would love to go back and take those 6 to 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it was, and just stay there. Like it was so amazing when I think about all of us taking pictures on the beach, but taking them together and just with
Mm.
the lanterns that we released, and then the random dinner place that we found, and our fun dinner conversations that
Oh my God, so fun.
we laughed and we played and we were so free. Like all of us were so tapped into our inner child and yet our feminine warrior at the same time. And it was so fun. And I mean, the food was amazing everywhere we went. And while I know we had drinks, I don't think we had a lot. I think we were just so high on the vibration that we all like shared of the experience of our goddess photo shoot. And like I see pictures every once in a while of you and I, holding the lantern, kind of running off, to let it go over the ocean. And
Yeah.
I just remember, when we were talking about, peace and love and something else that we were releasing with that lantern, and so many, that container of 6 to 8 to 10 hours, I don't remember how long it was. It could have been 5 minutes, but it was
Yeah, I know. It felt like it went on.
It felt like such this long beautiful space where we were all free to be ourselves, and we were all unique humans that came together to just celebrate each other that night. And it was just so beautiful. And that wasn't even our last night. That was in the middle, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to remember when we did the photo shoots, but yeah, I feel like it was in the middle, and it just felt like, yeah, there were so many of those moments of like ritualizing and feeling like we're kind of in this like timelessness.
Yeah.
Just part of like the flow. You're like talking about flow, right? And like, I feel like it's just this one big flow experiment. Like, how can we just be in all the juiciness with our sisters and ourselves and our expression? And
so fun.
I love it.
I would go back to therapy.
I know. Well, thank you so much again, Sandi, for sharing. I know whoever is watching is going to be so inspired by your story. And for those who are interested in Bali, you guys can go ahead and just directly reach out to me, request an application, and we can set up a time to chat if this is something that is really sparking your heart and soul. And maybe Sandi's story touched you and you're going through something similar, and you're really just wanting a place to be able to land and to grow in your business and your life. The website, if you want to check out the retreat directly, is jessicatomlinson.com/retreats with an S. So you guys can hop on over there, but feel free to reach out to me and to really just revel in Sandi's story. I think that like, no matter if you're interested in Bali or like, you have another journey that you are going on right now in the evolution. We all go through different phases. Just my biggest wish is that you get inspired and remember that Sandi is amazing, but she is not, like, she's still a human, and you have the capacity to do what she has done as well on your own journey. And what's possible for one woman, I believe, is possible for all of us. So that's why I'm so grateful, Sandi, that you took the time to just share this and connect with me and revisit your story. That was so much fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. It just regrounds me too in my why. Excuse me. In my journey of gratitude, and staying true, like I said, to my number one core value, which is gratitude for this and for you. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, and for you just being an amazing soul sister in this life. I adore you.
I adore you. I love you.
Love you. Mwah. Thank you.
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon.